So my name's Haden Kirkpatrick. I'm a tech executive out of the San Francisco Bay Area as a day job, and I'm an entrepreneur on the side, including real estate investments. I grew up in and around the Indianapolis area, and so that's my target market for investing. I know the market well, and whenever there's a downturn or whenever I have some extra cash on hand, I buy rental properties, brush them up and convert them real quick, put a renter in them, and then let them appreciate for a couple years or so until I exit. I hit the market at a pretty good time. I went in and purchased 4 bank-owned properties in the roughly Butler-Tarkington, east of Meridian area, just in the northwest quad of Indianapolis. This was in 2009 and 2010. So I got the lull at the right time and had some cash to deploy. And then had a property manager convert them and turn them into rentals, and had renters in it basically paying for the asset for me for almost 10 years while the market recovered. Throughout that time period, I would get junk mail, spam phone calls, people texting my mobile phone. I mean, just a barrage of people constantly asking me if I wanted to sell the homes. And for the most part, I entertained those conversations, and I just found them to largely be kind of, they were the people trying to buy it were mostly jokes, frankly. I know what the property's worth. I would get lowball rates on a per square foot basis or on an overall sell basis that was almost insulting, frankly. Even though I would sort of lay out my credentials, lay out my comps, lay out my analyses to the potential buyers, they would always come in 30, 40% beneath what the property was worth in an open sale environment, much less with a sort of cash flow renter inside of it. That said, when Midwest Cast Offers came to me, I sort of had the data ready. I laid out the costs. I said, here's what I want. I sort of gave them an analysis on the different comps that we had. And I sort of isolated out the outliers. Sort of said, here's what I'm looking for in terms of a range. And the negotiation was very swift, very efficient. We went back and forth with a couple rounds of price points, and then it was done within a week. It was a fair market value for a good property. Everybody wins in this scenario. I get to liquidate the cash and equity out of these assets that I had purchased. They get properties at a reasonable market rate with somebody also paying for the asset, and they can manage it however they want. But the way that the team conducted it was respectful, it was rational, it was based in reality, and that was very different than a lot of the other conversations I had had. So I had 2 properties left in my portfolio. One was on 39th Street in Indianapolis and one was on Kenwood Avenue. Both are in an area that's going through a gentrification process and being renovated. I had purchased them and put long-term renters. I think on average, I had renters in there for roughly 6 years. When Midwest Cash Offers came in to offer to buy the properties from me, I drew out the rent schedule, sort of laid it out in terms of the financial pro forma for them. I was very concerned whether or not they would take care of the renters and whether they would actually make sure that those people were going to have a place to stay. They alleviated my concerns on that and came to a reasonable price, not based on just the value of the house, but based on the value of the investment opportunity, right? This was one of the main problems I had with other firms. They would want to come in and cut the price of the house by 20%. But if I say I want to sell it for the value of the house and I'm giving you a renter who's going to pay for most of the mortgage, that's a pretty good value proposition for an investor. And I just kept getting lowballed. Midwest Cast Offers, the team just understood the basic fundamentals of how this kind of investment could work. It was all very smooth and efficient, and it was fair, I think, is the real important thing to note. They weren't trying to rip me off. They were just trying to get a good deal done in a short amount of time. And we were able to work with each other over the course of 3 weeks to get that done. From my perspective, you guys just have a really, really great team, and you've got a really great group of people that are smart and savvy and know what they're doing. And they've just been a pleasure to work with. I would work with them again anytime.